I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm going to make a comment or make a video, commenting on women my age, which I think are around my age, um, and what I think as a man. I'll just say I'm in my early 40s, okay? That's the truth. I'm in my early 40s. Um, I feel a lot younger than I am. Honestly, I've felt much of my life that I was, a lot younger. So I'm not sure if I can make an exact. And my life is maybe not the typical 40-year-old. So I'm not sure if I can make an exact, you know, uh, commentary on what exactly a 40-year-old would think. But this is what I think as a 40-year-old when I look at a woman like this, right? And women are very interested. They're very interested in like what men think. What do men think when they look at my pictures? They ask a lot of questions like that, which is understandable, right? They want to know what we think so they can control us because that's just how they are. They like to control men. They just like to control us. So they want to know what we think. What do you think when I post these types of pictures? Okay. So this to me, these are 3 pictures that I chose and they're pretty close to being, I would say, pornographic, but I would say this is pretty common. I would say these type of pictures, although I will say maybe her tits are out a little too much. You know what I mean? But I would say if you're looking at like Tinder or whatever, OK Cupid, Plenty of Fish, those are probably some of the more popular sites, but they're crappy sites. I've never been on Match.com, but from my experience on those dating sites, right, this is pretty average, I would say. Pretty average pictures, although it's a little bit. That one's pretty darn racy. She's got almost got her whole tits out on that one. But this is pretty average. So what does a guy think? What does a guy like me, who's 40 years old, or I'm not 40, but I'm in my early 40s. I'm single, right? What does a guy like me think? First of all, I think, well, she's very attractive. She's very pretty. Of course, she wears a ton of makeup, so I think, geez, I wonder what she looks like without that makeup, right? I think this is a grown woman who's very attractive, right? Obviously, that's what she's going for. But that is the same thing a 19-year-old girl's going for. These pictures are no different than the average 19-year-old girl's pictures. So this woman, as far as her pictures at least are concerned, has not grown past 19 years old. She hasn't been adulting enough to realize, oh, you know what? I should probably get out there and take some real pictures or have a little bit more ingenuity than these like thirst trap selfies that I'm taking in my my bedroom or whatever, right? So there's that. The other thing obviously is her tits are out, right? That's the focus of everything. Look at my great tits, right? So what I think is here's a woman who is very attractive, never had to develop a personality, never had to talk much or be interesting, right? She doesn't have to have had read any good books or have any interesting thoughts on life or philosophy. There's nothing deeper about her. And this is to me is average. Like that's what most women are like. Most attractive women. They don't have to be deep. They don't It's not that they have to or don't have to. It's that because it's not like if a man is more deep, he's more attractive or something like that. That's not necessarily true either. But it's nice if people are interesting. It's nice if people are smart. It's just high up on my list. I want a woman who's got a good brain. She's not dumb. Because I want a woman who has some emotional intelligence. I want a woman who has some maturity, who has some growth, who has some life experiences, Not just a nice pair of tits. You know what I mean? Um, got a great smile, you know, very good looking, very traditionally good looking. It's just sad. I feel sadness. I'm just like this, and maybe these pictures, you know, I just found these pictures browsing. I don't know this woman, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to disparage her or anything, but to me, this is an average girl. This is average. Like, this is what women out here are doing, and they don't need to do anything more. Like, when I look at this, I'm just disappointed. I'm just like, I think men have to bust their ass really at any job, because no job is easy. Okay, I shouldn't say that. No job is easy. There are easy jobs out there, but most people, you know, have to bust their ass, right? This woman doesn't have to do anything. She doesn't have to do anything. A guy has to make a certain amount of money. He has to drive a certain kind of car. He has to dress a certain way. He has to have charisma, confidence, you know, say all the right things at all the right times. Women have no idea how much stress that is. They have no idea. They cannot fathom how hard it is to be a man on a day to day basis. I mean, day to day basis. They could not. Women in the past have. There's been a couple, I think maybe two, at least two women, and one of them committed suicide. By the way, one of them just couldn't handle it, and she took herself out. Um, but there's been at least two women who have cross-dressed and pretended to be men, or lived the life as a man, you know, through cosmetic processes where they change themselves to look like a man and feel like so they could feel like a man. And one of them one of them deleted herself because she couldn't handle it. Women couldn't handle being a man. I'm telling you that right now. They have no, and this is what it always blows my mind. I'm like, you have here's what I think. For some reason, nature or God or biology, DNA, for some reason, women are unable to, one, be accountable, right? Be accountable for their own behaviors. One. Two, put themselves in the shoes of other people, particularly men, particularly the male gender. Women as a whole don't give a crap about men. That whole, oh, feminism is about equality is just bullshit. No, it's about uplifting women over men, and it's about disparaging and putting men down. 100%. That's what feminism is about. I don't give a crap what it's defined as. I give a crap the actions that people who adhere to that ideology take. That's what I give a crap about. I give a crap about your rhetoric. I give a crap about how consistent your rhetoric is. I give a crap about the things that you repeat over and over again. And those things add up to man hate. So feminism is not about equality. So I don't give a crap people saying, "Oh, you know, men do it too," or this is, you know, no. Women don't understand what it's like to be a man, and they don't care, right? When they say, "Oh, men do it too," all it is a cop out. All it is a blame shifting strategy, right? It's just a blame shifting strategy. You couldn't handle being a man because we can't do stuff like this. Men can't just take a selfie, you know, and be like, here I am, ladies, come get me." It just doesn't work, right? I'm not saying that there's not men out there who aren't buff, you know, and can take a selfie like that and get women. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, first of all, I'm saying men need higher standards, right? If that's all it takes to get you, you need help, right? You need to up your game. And like I said, I'm looking at this, and to me, I'm like, no, this is just a red flag. Like, she's gorgeous, you know, it's amazing, you know, how women can be so gorgeous, but at the same time, it's like, what is this? You got your tits out in every picture. Granted, there's only 3 pictures here. Now, maybe you have some more classy pictures somewhere else, but to me, this is just basic stuff. This is like basic Tinder. Although this one right here is pretty. I'd say for Tinder these days, that's not uncommon. Yeah, I mean these aren't uncommon Tinder pics. Honestly, it's getting pretty normal. This stuff's getting pretty normal, but this is close to porn. I mean, she's got her tits like 90% of the way out. You know, it's just weird. I mean, she's amazing looking. It's great, but would you want to date this woman? Imagine how narcissistic she has to be, because it's not just a picture. You know, people be like, "Oh, it's just a picture. Oh, it's just a picture." No, it's not just a picture. This is her life. This is what women do. This is their life. Their entire life revolves around taking pics, looking as sexy as possible, and thirsting for men, posting thirst traps, you know, doing stuff like this, posting stuff online, you know, like this is a symptom of a larger issue. It's narcissism, it's solipsism, it's arrogance, you know, it's selfishness, you know, boil it down and it's just evil. And it doesn't seem that bad. You're just like, oh, it's just a picture, you know, they're just pictures. She's gorgeous, you know, like this is what I see. I look at this and I'm just like, there's men who are like, oh, I'll marry you tomorrow. They don't know what type of person she's. I'm sure I mean, she seems nice, got a nice smile, but you don't know. She could be a good person, but selfishness like that ruins people. When you're all about sex and lust and thirst trapping, you're not ready for a relationship. You know, put some clothes on, put a shirt on, cover your chest. Who raised you? You know what I mean? Like, would I want the mother of my children posting tit pics for the whole world to see? If I have access to this, I'm just some dude on the internet. I'm nobody. If I have access to this, millions of other people do too. It's weird, you know? It's like, and hey, I'm not saying let's go creep around for pics. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying this stuff is floating around out there. You know, I mean, it's out there. You know, you can be like, oh, this is private stuff. Like, my shit ain't private. If I got pics on Tinder or social media, anybody could look at those pics and take a screenshot or do whatever. You know, it's people, they're doing that all day, every day. So it's like, why would you put yourself out there? You know, and so these are just some thoughts that I have, but it's like, I look at this and it's like, at my age, I'm like, damn, she's around my age, you know, and she's taking good care of herself. She's probably like, she looks to me about 38, I'd say. 39, something like that. I'd say I'm about right. Maybe off by a few years, give or take. If it's, you know, if she's older than that, then that's pretty good on her part. She might be 35, 34, 35. But kind of getting to that middle age. And it's, you know, how I look at it is like, man, this is around my age, and she's gorgeous, but I couldn't do anything with this person. She wouldn't, she wouldn't know how to have a conversation. Most women don't know how to have a conversation, I'll tell you that right now. A real conversation, like a good conversation. Most women don't know how to do that. Because they can't. Because a lot of times they don't know shit about shit. You know, they don't read or study. You know, and it's like they're not fun or funny. They just know how to giggle and react and haha, I like that, and oh, let's go, I like pizza, and let's go get a cat, or stupid little shit like that, and it's like that can be nice, but every once in a while you want somebody who's intelligent, you want someone who understands morals, who understands character, maybe who understands hard work to whatever extent. I'm not saying you got to be gung ho 24/7, but this is why men get bored. This is why men cheat. This is why men are like, and I blame the men a lot. You're making dumb decisions. You should not marry a woman just for her looks. Like, this woman is so gorgeous. She's got a little bit of chubby. She's a little chubby in her lower body. You can tell a little bit, but I like that. That's right up my alley. I like a woman with a little bit of something on her. I think it's sexy. It's not maybe not the sexiest. Maybe she could be sexier if she lost that gut a little bit and did some more squats. And she could make her. She could be bombshell knockout. But she's still pretty much a bombshell. Naturally, she probably exercises a little bit, but she's not super into it. Yeah, she probably exercises a lot, actually. But maybe her diet's not. She got chubbiness, but I like that. For me, I like that. I like a little bit of. That's just me. A lot of guys don't, but I do. But yeah, gorgeous woman. What else is she bringing to the table? That's what I think. What are you bringing to the table? Besides that great rack, which, you know, dime a dozen. These days there's hot women everywhere, advertising their goods. I think a lot of women still have this mentality. This is something that not a lot of people talk about, but I think a lot of women have this mentality that if I show some skin, I'll be ahead of the game because a lot of the other women aren't showing their tits. So if I show my tits, I'll get more benefits. I'll get more attention. I'll get I'll get more free drinks, free dinner. Men will offer to fly me out and vacations. There's a lot of benefits from basically, you know, getting naked in front of a camera. I mean, there's a lot of benefits, man. Anyway, yeah, I just look at it, dyed hair, lots of makeup. I'd say she's between 34 and 39, in my opinion. She might be like 34, but anyway, yeah, two different colored hair. That's a big red flag. I mean, you got your tits out in every pic. I mean, that's a red flag. But anyway, so yeah, it's a no go for me. That's what I think. That's what I think. I mean, if she gave me the time of day, would I be interested in her? Sure, because I got a dick, and a lot of people are like, oh, you could never get her anyways. Okay, so does that make what I'm saying any less valid? Like, I'm still thinking those things, even if I could get her. Let's put it this way: if I could get her, if I was the kind of guy who could get her, I wouldn't want her because I could get somebody better. If I could get her, I could get somebody better. Let's put it that way, right? So it's like, here's the other thing: why would I want a woman who I guarantee is going to be a gold digger, who I guarantee is going to be shallow, who I guarantee is going to be narcissistic? Because women are not equipped to be attractive and not let it get to them. It's just impossible. 99.99% of women who are very attractive are very narcissistic. Okay, it's called the hot slash crazy matrix. The hot crazy matrix, right? If the more hot a woman is, the more crazy she is, and that's generally true. There's definitely some cool down to earth hot chicks, but are you gonna get a great one? Are you gonna get one with morals? Are you gonna get one with a low body count? Are you gonna get one that is intelligent, that has education, that has character, that has discipline, that isn't fucked up in some way. Like, hell no. And you could be like, oh, well, no one's perfect. Sure, but we should have some standards. Women have gazillion standards. What about men? You know, so if I could get this woman, I'd be like, you know, she's crazy. She wears a lot of makeup. She's got a crazy look in her eye. She dyes her hair. You know, I'd be vetting. If I, you know, had opportunities, if I had options, I'd be vetting like a motherfucker because if this is a woman I want to spend the rest of my life with, and she's crazy and she's got a high body count and she's seeing other guys on the side and she still talks to her ex, it's like women are not, their phones aren't empty. They're not just sitting around waiting for some guy to come marry them. They're hooking up. They're talking to guys. They're sleeping around. This woman is doing exactly that. She's not doing anything different than that. She's getting fucked. She's got a hookup. She's got a sneaky leak. A sneaky link. She's got a friends with benefits. She's got a dude she uses for free dinners and free drinks. She's soaking up all the benefits that come with being an attractive woman that every guy wants to have sex with. And they know it. Women know it. They know damn well what they're doing and they don't care. That's the difference. The difference is a man's like, damn, I gotta go work. I gotta go to study. I gotta go get a career so that I can have a family, so that I can support a family. A woman is like, gee, let me show my tits so I can see how many free drinks and vacations I can get this year. That's the difference. It's not even comparable. Like, of course the game is fucked up. Of course men are getting thrown under the bus. Of course people are not getting married anymore. Of course women are out there whoring around and being part of harems. Of course. Because they've got all the opportunities in the world to do so. And there's no incentive to do the other thing. In fact, there's a big incentive not to do that thing. There's big opposition against that other thing. Don't get married because then you'll be oppressed, because marriage is oppressive to women. I mean, what an evil, sick concept is that? Look, no one's saying you gotta go be subjective to your be submissive to your husband. No one's saying that. No one's saying you gotta go take orders and live in the kitchen and you can't go outside or something weird. No one's saying that. We're just saying, don't you think it'd be good if you had a family? Don't you think it'd be good if you didn't get STDs? Don't you think it would be good if you didn't have a really screwed up emotional history and your heart is all messed up and you're a damaged human being and you're jaded and you're fake and you lie and you're sleeping around and you got no morals or ethics, you're a degenerate? That's what is going on. Now, is it all the way one way or all the way to the... No, of course it's a spectrum. Of course it's all gray area. Of course everyone's results vary. But in general, most women are going towards that other thing because this is what our culture is breeding them to do. Go be a feminist, go sleep around, go get your career. And here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. This is why a lot of women end up doing porn. It's why a lot of women end up taking deals, you know, if you know what I mean, selling themselves behind the scenes, compromising themselves in one way or another. This is why a lot of women end up reverting to sex work, because careers suck. Real jobs suck. It's not fun, and it was never supposed to be fun. It's right there in Genesis chapter 4 or whatever, when God curses man. And he says, from the toil of the ground shall you eat, or whatever. That's a curse. That's why work sucks. Now we can negotiate whether it's 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, sure. You know, thanks to what's his face, fucking Henry Ford or whoever it was that did that bullshit, because that's worse than 9 to 5 is slave. It's worse than slave labor, or it's worse than. It might be worse than slave labor, but it's worse than what it used to be. It's worse than what peasants used to have to do. What peasants used to have to do back in the medieval days is worse than what we're doing today, working 9 to 5s. It ain't fun, ladies. Feminism lied to you. What's beautiful is staying at home, and I'll tell you, okay, it's not fun always at home either. You know, doing a bunch of laundry, vacuuming, and you got chores every day. Shit ain't necessarily easy, but it's better than a career, because you got your back against the wall at a career. I think I read somewhere that like only 1%, I think I read that in my early 20s, that 1% of all people find a career that they actually love and enjoy doing. They're doing their dream career, only 1%. I think I don't know if that seems pretty low, but I would say maybe 5%. It sounds a little more reasonable, but even if it's 1%, 1 to 5%, even if it's 5%, that's not much. That's not much. So, ladies, if you think that you're going to find a fulfilling career, you're probably not. You're probably not. You're probably not going to find a fulfilling career, because many men don't find fulfilling careers. Many people in general don't find fulfilling careers. Because here's the other thing, which a lot of people don't understand, or a lot of people don't talk about. Working in general sucks. That's why rich people don't want to do it. That's why people want to get rich, so they don't have to fucking work. So they don't have to do some shitty thing that they don't want to do every day, 9 to 5 for the rest of their lives, basically, because retirement is bullshit these days. Retire at 65, they're trying to make it 70 or something. Most people die at 75. I mean, what the fuck kind of life is that, right? So this whole theory that I mean, it's just a fuck up from day one. It's just a lie. That's all feminism is a lie from day one. It's evil. It's satanic. It's been forced on us, or I should say, how should I say, it's been snuck upon us by our enemies, right? Who want to subvert our country, who've infiltrated our government. Okay, who the fuck founded second wave feminism? Tell me that. Who the fuck started first, second wave, third wave feminism? Tell me who they were. Tell me their racial background. Thank you. That's all I'll say about that. But it ain't pretty. Feminism lied to you. One of the many lies of feminism is that you can go out and have a career. You can go out and fulfill your career fantasies and be a career girl and make it. No, you can't. You can't. Most of you won't be able to. And most of you won't enjoy your life doing that. You think you will, but it's a grind. Because careers are a grind. And most women are just, maybe some adapt, but then they look back and they got a lot of regrets. Oh shit, I shouldn't have done it. This is a woman who doesn't seem very smart. She just doesn't. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But she doesn't seem very smart. She seems like she'd be a good receptionist. She seems like she'd be honestly, what she seems like she'd be good at is just seducing a rich man and just being a fucking wallflower at home. There's a lot of women out there, and I don't think this gets talked about enough, but there's a lot of women out there who don't do shit. They're just at home, and they really don't even do chores. A lot of them have maids. That's a thing. People get enough money, and they just they pay for house cleaners, right? And it is what it is. So a lot of women are just doing fuck all at home, and that's all they want to do, which is, if that's what you like, if that's the life that you want. But there's a guy footing the bill for that, right? So she seems to me not like a career woman. She seems to me like a woman who is gonna need having her chest out to survive. That's what I think, So that's what I think. As a 40-something man, early 40s, that's what I look at. And I know I'm stunted. Maybe I'm not I think probably I think a more mature man than me would even have a worse diagnosis. He probably wouldn't even, he just scoff at it. Because this is not a mature woman. You got your tits out in every pic, you're not mature. You're not ready to settle down. Yeah, I'm judging. And women do it to us every day, all day, every day. They judge us on everything: how we look, our hair, our teeth, our posture, our height, our clothes, our shoes, our nails, our beard, everything women look at. So don't give me that shit where, oh, you're judging her. Da, 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 da. Men get judged on everything. Women, men need to have standards for women, okay? And if you want to call that judging, whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, I'm judging as women judge men all the time, and that's just what it is. So it is what it is. Yeah, I'm judging her, but I have to, because that's the nature of the whole thing, right? What do I think? That's what I think. I don't know. It's sad. I feel sadness. I'm like, damn, we ruined a whole generation of women. Like, I look at it too, like, you might be like, oh, it's just sex, or oh, like, sex is really fun, it's really hot and awesome, and like, I understand that, because I've been caught up, I get caught up in that in my life. I get caught up in that. It's just lust. That's all. It's lust. It's temporary. It's hot for the moment until you get your nut, and that's the thing about sex, is like, it's good until you nut, and then you're like, oh, who is this person? Who am I exchanging this intimacy with? Who is this woman that I'm sleeping with? Who, is she a good person? Will she be a good mother? Is she going to treat me right? That's a really important question. Is she going to treat me right as a man? Just as a human being. A lot of guys fall into that trap. Well, I've got to be the man for her to, so I got to make this money, and I got to do this, and I need this respect. It's like, no, fuck all that. Does she treat you like a good human being? Is she a good human being? That's what I want to know. Is she a good human being? Does she have humanity? Does she understand not to be mean to people? Does she understand not to be hurtful, or look down on people, or to be bigoted, or to be, not to be greedy or lustful or immoral? Does she understand those things? And does she treat me right as a woman, or as a human being? That's what men need to ask themselves. Forget about this, oh, I can afford her, I gotta go out, I'm gonna work, and I can, then I'll, because that's my duty. I think deep down, what actually a lot of men who talk like that think is, they think, well, if I work hard enough, then some woman will have to date me, because she'll be obligated to, because I'm a good man, because I'm a good earner, and she'll have to respect that, and deep down, she'll want to be with me because I'm the backbone financially. And it's like, listen, I think that can happen, and I think that does happen, and I think that it's sad that happens, because you're base, and it's almost correct. It seems pretty good outwardly. Outwardly, you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess, because we all need money, and to have a family, the guy should be a good earner so the woman could take care of the kid. I get all that, but how I look at it is like, what a tragedy. Like, okay, you have everything going for you on the outside. Outwardly, everything looks good. You got the money, you got the car, you got the house. Now you're ready for a family. But what's going on the inside? And this is what I think, this is where I guess you just call it putting the cart before the horse, is that, like, yeah, you need money to survive, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is love, the relationship that you have, and the relationship that you've built, and the relationship that you will continue to maintain and build upon, and feed and foster, and make sure it's always going good, because that's what you got to do to have a relationship, right? But what about the deep things, right? What about the intimacy, the companionship, the is she a good human? Does she treat you right? I think men, I hate to say this, man, but I think men have so compromised themselves, have so lowered their standards. I think most men don't even have standards. I think they just want any woman. I think they're so desperate that they just want any woman, and I think it's a matter of scarcity. It's a market phenomenon. There's a market and there's a market phenomenon, and it's a matter of scarcity, and women have figured out how to make themselves a hot product, a hot commodity is what they call it. Women are never going out of style because men have a dick and men want sex, and that will never ever ever change. The difference, though, is that if you want a quality relationship and you want real love and you want maybe a marriage or you want some kind of companionship long term, the difference is that it ain't gonna work if there's not a lot going right, you know? And part of the things that has to go right is that other person a good person? Do they treat you right? Do they understand some basic things about life, the basic things about human nature, some basic things about right versus wrong, morality versus immorality, light versus darkness, right? Are they you just good human beings? Like, these things are just, men don't have these standards, and it's weird, and it's like, it's because of scarcity. It's a market phenomenon. It's a cultural dating market. It's all in there, you know. It's all wrapped up in that package of, this is modern dating, you know. Women have, to their own peril, ultimately cornered the market. That's what they've done. They've cornered the market. They've taken over the market, so to speak. Women have all the options. They're able to exercise options. They're able to exercise standards. Men have very few options, if any, most men. And they're not able to exercise any standards or exercise any options. Most men. Okay? There's a select few who are getting all the women, and because this is female nature, they're okay with being part of a harem, being part of a guy's rotation, as long as the guy is high value. If he's low value, they don't want anything to do with him. Okay? So what does this mean? This means high value guys are getting all the women. That's what the market is doing today. Women have cornered the market. Now all the attention is on women. However, they can't get their basic needs met. Their basic need is that I want a guy. But they can't get that guy because first of all, they're sabotaging themselves. They jump through relationships because of their own shitty behavior, because of their own cheating or their own whatever. Why do you think women are perpetually dating? They're perpetually single. They're perpetually in and out of relationships. Why do you think that is? Because they're the common denominator. They're shitty. No one wants to date them, or guys who do want to date them can't settle down with them because they're not amiable. They don't know how to treat a man. They don't know how to get along in a relationship. They're walking red flags. They're toxic. You can't have a relationship with them because they will create some kind of drama, or they'll ruin the relationship somehow, or they'll fuck it up, or this, that. They can't do it. Can you live with a Wolverine? No. You can't live with a Wolverine. A Wolverine has to be wild. It has to go out and prowl. That's what a Wolverine does. That's its nature. You think you can live with a woman like this who's been a hoe for 15, 20 years? She's an expert at being a hoe. She's very good at it. She's been a hoe for 20 years. Anything you do a lot, you're going to get good at. Anything you practice a lot, you get good at. She's been a hoe probably since her teenage years. And she's 35 now. That's 20, that's 15, 20 years going on. Women are having sex younger and younger, man. So No, this is a professional manipulator. That's what I see right here when I look at a woman like this. I'm like, God, the first thing is like, gosh, she's gorgeous. Gosh, I would love to date a woman who's as physically beautiful as her. That's what every guy thinks. But then but I look at it and I'm like, this is a demon. I mean, pardon me, I don't want to call anybody a demon, but it's I look at this is just a toxic person to me. This is what I see. Is you might as well just have a bunch of needles sticking out of you or something, because that's just how toxic you. Because it's like, what people don't understand is that when a woman becomes a hoe, she starts to behave a certain way. She starts to act a certain way, think a certain way, have certain habits, certain behaviors that she repeats. We all know what this is. They're hoe behaviors. We call them hoe tendencies. They're hoe tendencies. Certain ways of thinking, certain ways of behaving, certain ways of acting that are kind of commonplace amongst all hoes. And women hate this because they hate accountability more than a cat hates water, more than Superman hates when Superman hates kryptonite. Women hate accountability, so they hate that we know this shit. They hate that we know that they're hoes and we know that they have hoe tendencies. They hate that because they don't want to be labeled as a hoe. They don't want it because they know it lowers their value for a long term. They want their cake and eat it too. Simply put. And you just can't have that. You cannot do that when we're talking about men. Not only that, you can't do that when we're talking about men. Not only that, you can't do that when we're talking about maintaining a regular relationship. Why? Because your hoe tendencies will come in. Your hoe tendencies will start to show through, and the relationship will be wrecked because you don't know how to manage your emotions. You don't know how to treat a man well. You don't know how to make a man feel loved and make him feel good. You don't know how to be consistent in a relationship. You don't know how to not be emotionally unstable. You don't know how to cheat or to practice celibacy, or to go a long time without having sex. Believe me, that comes into play. They'll never in a million years talk about that, but it comes into play. They'll never admit to it, but it comes into play. A woman is itching to have a lot of sex, and if a guy's not doing it, if a guy's not hooking up with her, or excuse me, if she's hooking up with a guy and he's not doing it for her in bed, she's going to want to cheat. This is the thing. They want every angle. They want the sex. They want the money. They want the emotional side. They want the relationship they want it to look all great on the outside, where everybody is jealous of how great a life and a relationship you have. I mean, it's never fucking ending. It's a nightmare. It's never fucking ending. The way women think, the stupid shit they obsess over, the useless crap that they are constantly focused on, right? Vanity is what it's called. Vanity. In Ecclesiastes, Solomon, the wisest man on earth, said, all is vanity. It's a chasing after wind. Vanity of vanities. Life is vanity. Of course, he was depressed, and he was, looking at it from an angle where you don't have God, or you don't have a future with God and things like that. And yeah, life can get really depressing in that case. But the point is that it's part of that system. It's part of that system. Being a hoe is vain. It's part of vanity. It's a part of vanity system. Why? Because you're wasting time. At its core essence, going and sleeping around is wasting time. That's what it really is. It's not only that, you're playing with fire. It's dangerous. Tons of bad things can happen when you sleep around. Another reason why men need to have extremely high standards, or excuse me, I shouldn't say extremely high standards. Why men need to have higher standards is because sleeping around is dangerous. If a woman slept around a lot, you're inheriting her sexual history. You're inheriting not only all the damage emotionally, but whatever physical STDs she has, whatever physical shit she's got going on because of that. Can be a lot of different stuff when you learn about the type of stuff that can happen to women's bodies when they have a lot of sex with a lot of different men. It's weird. They get UTIs, they get vaginal yeast, urinary tract infections. They get all kinds of shit. Not to mention just STDs. Not to mention the emotional damage and trauma. I mean, every time they're sleeping with a dude, they're exchanging energy. She's trying to, her brain is trying to pair bond with that guy. And then if she's jumping from guy to guy in five years, she's been with 25 guys. Maybe she's dated 10 of them, but the other 15 she just slept with. Or maybe she slept with 50 guys. Who knows? That number can really, really be anywhere from 20 to 60 to 100. It varies. But it matters. But here's the thing. Anything over 10, anything over 5 is really bad. Anything over 10 is like, good luck. Anything over 20 and you're done. There's, I've dated women who've had high body counts like that. It's never good. It's never good. They've got built-in habitual ways that they do things the way they think, and you're never gonna win with that. So that's what I think. I think, oh, okay, this woman's gorgeous. I'm looking at her. God, I'd love to date her because she's so gorgeous. But then my mind goes, that's exactly why you shouldn't date her, because she's too attractive. She's too damaged. She's too messed up. She's too slutty, her past is just too checkered. It's too sick. It's too toxic. She's bringing all of that baggage into the relationship. All of it. All of that baggage. She still's got a broken heart from Tommy, who cheated on her when she was 18. She still got a broken heart from Tommy. She dated Michael when she was 27, and she thought she was going to be loved. That didn't work. And then, she's dated guys who are 10 times better than you. That's what you're going up against. What do you think? How do you think you're going to impress a girl like that? How do you think you're gonna? She's gonna fall in love with you when she's dated guys 10 times better than you. Oh, she just really loves your heart. You're just so special to her. Really? You watch too many Disney movies, bro. It's not reality. It's not reality. I'm not saying it can't happen. I'm not saying you can't luck up. I hope you do. I hope we all do. But it ain't. I'm just telling you, it ain't reality. At my age, I know. It's sad. It's fucked up. That's why men are self-deleting in large numbers, because this world's fucked up, man. It's so fucked up. And you would think the least we could do is try to make it less fucked up for the opposite sex. We could try to make it less fucked up for other people. But women don't give a shit. You think this woman cares? You think she gives a flying shit about what men go through? You think she gives a fuck about how many times you've been rejected? You think she gives a flying fuck about how sad you are and how lonely you are because you want a woman? You think she cares? No, she thinks you're pathetic. That's what she thinks about that. She thinks this guy's a loser and I don't want to have anything to do with him because no other women want him. That's how women think. It's called pre-selection. Oh, no other woman wants this guy? He can't get a date. He can barely talk to me. So nervous. This guy isn't attractive. He's a loser. Women don't want him, so why should I want him? That's how women think. Why did God make them that way? I do not fucking know. No idea. No fucking clue. The best I've ever been able to come up with is that if women were normal, if women were rational, if women thought clearly, if they had, normal ways of being, okay, the whole world would be completely different. People probably wouldn't stop having sex. People would be screwing all the time. And they're doing that anyways, right? But it'd just be a lot different. I think that the reason why it is the way that it is because for the furtherance of humanity. It works. Let's put it that way. It works. It's fucked up, but it works. It works in functionality, in basic functionality. That's it. It doesn't work in optimal functionality. It just works in functionality. It's built on working, on the concept of working, on survival. That's it. It's not built on the concept of working optimally. Because if it was on the concept of working optimally, we would have rational women who understood things, who weren't, who could listen to things that I said and not go to pieces, and could understand, oh yeah, you're right, women are doing this, this is happening, you know. But the problem there is that, you know, if women were rational, then they'd probably be just like men, and then we'd be having sex all the time, and that sucks. And maybe you say, well, why did nature make us like that? Maybe we should want to have less sex. But it just is what it is. Men are just primed in our nature to want to go out and fuck, to want to go out and spread our seed. That's just how it is. And women are primed by nature to pick the best man with the best seed and the best reproductive value possible. And what does that equate to in today's society? Money. Survivability in today's society equates to money. Sorry. So that's why somebody like Donald Trump can be president. He's a massive, fat, steaming pile of shit, of dog shit. That's what kind of person Donald Trump is. No redeeming value whatsoever, aside from his cleverness, his shrewdness, and his ability to fucking win. And guess what? To women, that's hot. That's replicable. That's why Donald Trump has a bunch of women in his life, a bunch of mistresses. That's why Donald Trump has slept with hundreds, if not thousands, of women. Because women don't give a fuck about morals when it comes to sex, dating, and relationships. They don't give a flying fuck about it. All of it goes out the window. Women will kill their own children. Don't think for a second that women are out here fucking, you know, choosing the best moral quality good man out there. Horseshit. They are choosing effective men. That's all. That's all. That's all. They're choosing effective men. They're choosing men who are successful, who figured out the formula to personal success. That's it. That's all. And guys who were born lucky, who are very attractive physically by birth, and who work out, which we all should, because it can make you more attractive for sure. But there's limits, right? And that's it. Looks, money, status is what women want. LMS, looks, money, status. If you got the looks, you can get laid. If you got the money and the status and the wealth and the riches and the fame, you can get laid, and you can get a wife, you can get anything you want. But if you're a good-looking dude but you're broke, you're not gonna get a woman. You might be able to get a woman temporarily, or you might be able to get a woman, again, temporarily. But it ain't gonna work long term. There will always be problems if you don't have money. There will always be problems if you are not a valuable man according to the sick and evil world, which is based on money. So miss me with that. Oh, women don't just want a man's money. Like, that's bullshit to the highest degree. Are there exceptions? Yes, of course. But the exceptions prove the rule. Period. Are there exceptions? Of course. Yes. Sure, you know a woman who dated a broke dude for 20 years, but she always knew that he was broke, and you knew that he was broke, and everybody takes account of his brokenness, right? And if they ever break up, guess what that woman's going to say? He was broke. He was always a bum. He was always a bum. Because that's what they always do. I've had women in the very same discussion, the very same argument, where they'll be like, I dated a broke guy, I'm not like other girl, and I'm not like that. The very same discussion, turn around and say, he was just such a loser, he never wanted to change, and so I dumped him. And it's just like, what? That's, you just got done telling me you didn't care about money, and then you said you eventually walked away because he didn't want to change. So and I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Where I've had discussions like that with women, and they invariably come around and say, "Well, he was broke," or they'll diss him somehow, say, "Oh, he was a loser, he was a bum." Da, da, da. But didn't you just say you didn't care about money? And now you're calling him a loser. So anyway, it's in their nature, and there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about that. So to me, this is a product that it's like a pair of Nike shoes. Like, do I want that pair of Nike shoes? Can I afford it? Maybe that's too pricey for me. I couldn't get this woman because I don't have enough money. Not only that, maybe I'm not good looking enough or whatever. It's not because I'm not a good enough guy or I have a good enough character or you're just misogynistic or all this bullshit. Like, no. Has nothing to do with any of that shit. It's looks, money, status. I don't think I add up to what she wants at all in looks, money, and status. But if I did, I wouldn't be, you know, I just lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? She would. She wouldn't. What was I gonna say? I was gonna say she wouldn't look twice at me. Something like she wouldn't look twice at me if I didn't have looks. Money says I don't know. I lost my train of thought on that one. I've been talking for a while. But anyways, yeah, you get my point. You get my point. I look at it like it's a product. She's advertising what she's selling. She's selling her goods, and what is she exchanging her goods for? Looks, money, status. Period. Right? It's not like, oh, I'm such a good person, and I just really look at you for your good heart or whatever. It's like, no. That's not what this is. That's not what relationships are anymore. Sad to say. And I wish they weren't. I wish it was different, because then I'd be the first to be like, awesome, things are changing. I don't think it ever will, because female nature is female nature. I think the sad truth is that you're just not going to get the real thing. You're not going to get real love. It's always based on what you can bring to the table as a man. Once you remove what the man brings to the table, the woman leaves. And that's just, for the most, I'm not saying it's in every case. I'm not saying women aren't capable of love. I just think they love differently. I think that their love is a selfish type of love. I think it's a calculated type of love. I don't even know if I would call it real love. What they have, I don't even know what I would call it. But it ain't, let's put it this way, it ain't romantic. It ain't the type of love that they're talking about in books, which is funny, because women are always reading these books, romance novels, but women are the least romantic. They just want guys to fawn over them because they're narcissistic. They just want all the perks and the benefits. Women don't know how to treat a man. They don't know how to be in love from their side of the thing. They know how to receive everything. That's why all the fantasy books are all about women receiving. Oh, he did this for her. He took her out. He did this and the third. It's all about the woman receiving. But what about her giving? What does she bring to the table? How does she treat the man? Never about that. And most women have no clue. They wouldn't know the first thing, because they've read all this shit. And what's crazy is, like, they have no self-awareness. It's like, if you were to treat a man just halfway decent, you would be a celebrity as far as girlfriends goes, because most girlfriends are just shitty. Excuse me, I shouldn't say most girlfriends are shitty. Most women don't know how to really love a man or to treat a man. They really just know how to receive his love and accept his love. Let's put it this way, they're more takers than they are givers. Let's just say that. And if a woman is a giver in a relationship, a lot of times it's because the guy is a narcissist and she's what's that word? She's an empath. There's a word for it. I always forget what that is. The one that the narcissists log onto, glom onto, or whatever. I forget what they're called, but you probably know what I'm saying. But if a woman is giving more than she's taking, usually there's some kind of imbalance, because usually it's the opposite. Usually there's something wrong with a woman if she's giving more than she's taking. If she's chasing the guy, usually something is wrong with her, because usually it's the opposite. Usually the guy is the one fawning all over the woman and making her feel special, and women expect that. Women have grown accustomed to that, and they expect that in a relationship, to be fawned over, to be doted on, to be uplifted, to be put on a pedestal, because this is what stupid ass society and stupid culture and stupid simps are doing, and it's ruining everything. It's part of what's ruining everything. But anyways, guys, I'm just going on and on. I think I'm going to end it there. I think you get what I'm saying. Gorgeous woman, toxic, red flag. Yeah, I'm judging her. Sorry. Not trying to call anybody out. Specifically just saying this is a good example of what I look at in a woman and just why it turns me off and why I'm like, yeah, that'd be nice because she's so attractive, but there's no way it would ever work because she's not a good human being. She's not a good person. It's like I want to see the good in everybody. I hope everybody's doing well, but let's be realistic. If it comes to relationships, she's going to be selfish. She's going to get hers. She's going to be like, I'm so pretty. I expect a man to do everything for me, and I do nothing because I'm that pretty. A lot of women think that. They really do. They really think I don't have to do shit because I'm so attractive that not only can I get the guy of my dreams, but he's going to have enough money to where I don't have to do anything. I believe many women think that. They really do, and it's fucking crazy. It's fucking sad. But anyway, I'm going to end it there. Thanks for listening. Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.